Hi, this is Lee. Welcome to Startup Warfare. Hey, I want to tell you a story that just happened to me a couple weeks ago and share it with you, and it has to do with customer service. First, I'm going to tell you what happened, and then I'm going to relate it to your business. The lesson, at least that I've learned, and this story illustrated, and how it can help you in your business. So a few weeks back, my wife is away, and I have my two children by myself. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. Well, after my daughter's soccer game, I packed up the car, and my kids wanted to go to CoCo's. And for those of you who don't know what CoCo's is, it's a chain restaurant, kind of like a Denny's, a casual Denny's if you can picture that, that specializes in really good baking and really lends itself to children. Oh, excuse me. So I load up the car, we get to CoCo's, I've got my son who's 2 years old, I'm carrying him in one hand, I've got my daughter by the other hand, and there's a small wait. We wait, and with a 2-year-old, for every 1 minute of waiting time, it's like 15 minutes if you were by yourself because the kid's running all over and it's just a lot of work. Well, we finally get a table and the waitress comes over and says, "Can I get you a child seat?" And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great." And she comes back 1 minute later and goes, "We only have one, they're all broken and it's being used. So you'll have to keep your son on your lap while you eat." And I look at her and I go, "Have you ever sat eating lunch with a 2-year-old on your lap? It's not that easy. I can't stay unless you have a child seat for my son." And she apologized, but they just didn't have any. So we had waited all that time for nothing. So I packed up my daughter and my son and we headed out. And as you can imagine, when two kids are disappointed in not getting what they expected, it adds a whole layer of complication onto the day. Well, anyway, make a long story short, a couple weeks go by, my wife is with me and she said, "Let's go back to CoCo's. I'm sure they have child seats by this time." Well, we pack up the kids again. It's a little easier this time because my wife's there to help. We finally get to CoCo's. Now, here's what I see. Okay, we get out of the car, we get inside. There is probably 30 people ahead of us. So business is good. That's great news. And I said to the manager, "Do you have a baby seat this time?" And she said yes. So she said, "You'll have to wait." Well, half an hour later, we're still waiting. And my kids are going nuts. They're hungry. We're hungry. So I peeked my head in the back, and wouldn't you know it, that 75% of the restaurant or the tables are empty, okay? They didn't have enough staff. So we're waiting while the restaurant is empty, and so are the other 30 people. I look at my wife looks at me and goes, "This is ridiculous." So we leave, and we'll never go back to CoCo's, okay? Now, what's the moral of this story, besides the fact that it's very difficult to eat when you have children, okay, and wait for a table? The moral is that if you have customers, number one, and they're waiting for your product, make sure you do everything you can do to make sure they're happy. For instance, if you specialize in a restaurant that caters to children, make sure you have baby seats. Number two, if you've got customers that are eagerly willing to hand over their money in exchange for your product, in this case it was CoCo's, so it would be for eggs, bacon, and pie on a Saturday morning, make sure you have wait staff to cater to them. Well, meanwhile, they lost us as a customer, and I can only imagine how many other people left the restaurant as well. So I guess the lesson that I would like to share with you is that if you're fortunate enough to have customers that want to give you business, do whatever you can to keep them happy because customers always have other choices. So with that, I want to thank you for stopping by Startup Warfare. If you have any questions, let me know. And be careful when you go to CoCo's. Talk to you soon. Take care.